You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Dad's After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Dad's After Show.
Get ready.
Oh, we have no music, Phil.
Yeah,
That's okay.
Phil.
Oh, we've got. That's okay.
Here, I'll do it. Boom, doom, doom. Doom, doom, doom.
I love is when you call me Big Pop.
Boom, boom,
Okay, it was past. We lost a moment.
Yeah.
Bing is for doing, and we are here doing another episode of Dads at AfterBuzz TV for you guys at home. This is episode 4, season 1. Funny girl. And there was a funny girl in this episode, which we'll touch on. My name is Lauren Leonelli, and we have
Jenifer Golden.
Kevin John.
Yes. Okay, so this episode, we are all agreeing on this panel of hosts was hilarious. Yes.
Hilarious.
Hashtag hilarious.
Hysterical.
Hashtag hysterical.
My favorite yet. I'm going to say that.
I'm not going to do that this whole episode.
Oh my God, I get it. Because she kept doing that. Sorry, it took me a
She
sec.
did it once, but okay, so we are also, for all of you listeners and viewers at home, we have a special guest calling in by the name of John Viner. And he was, in the last episode, the actor who played the hot maid,
My favorite
Joshua. And he was fantastic. But he's also, as we told you in the news and gossip last week, writes for the show as well. So there's tons of fun things that we need to ask him, and we can't wait to get him on the line and give you all the insight that he has on the show, because he plays so many roles, clearly, acting, writing, producing.
Many hats.
Many hats.
And shirtless maid.
And shirtless maid.
Which I think is kind of funny. I think it's kind of funny, and I'm dying to ask him about that because he is shirtless. I wonder if that was his choice, because if you go to his Twitter account, which is my give up, it says that he's always 2 months away from being in shape, which I thought was hysterical, because I do feel like that's most people. They're like, I'm going to start my diet tomorrow.
Right. Well, we'll ask him if how far out he is now after that shirtless stint. I thought he looked pretty good.
I'm sure he definitely worked out for that.
Well, I don't know how much time you have for that, because when you get cast on a show, you've got a day or two until you audition, and there's a couple days in between. And we need to ask him the process of how he ended up getting cast, but I feel like it was a little bit more last minute than we think, but we'll confirm that with him. And so I don't know that there's a lot of time unless he did like the master cleanse or something.
Which is possible.
It is
totally
possible.
possible.
Worked for me.
Very Hollywood. Okay, so we're going to run through the episode super quick because we want to talk to John and get all of the good insight here. There's 2 things that happened in this episode. There was Eli and his date and his dad. And
which was a prediction of mine, which I think that
totally.
We are really great.
You did call that, didn't you?
We're great at the predictions.
We are great at the predictions.
You guys are.
And then we had Crawford come in, who I like how they're always trying to find him work. And, Veronica was like, okay, we need a voiceover. And he came in and did that. So we'll just touch on that really quick. They needed a voiceover for their new Wall Street themed game. And of course, Crawford, who is always willing to work. He's a hard worker. He's all about putting in the time, getting in the office. He's a blue collar kind of guy. He wants to get in there and get his hands dirty. He was excited. He gets into the booth and he's like, I really feel like this is working. And Warner is really into it until he divulges information that sets Crawford off morally. He's like, yeah, man, the businessmen in this game are the bad guys, and they're being decapitated and killed. And he's like, I can't do that.
But I love that his reason is because Wall Street got him where he is today.
Yeah. And they're like sleeping. Warner's like sleeping on my couch, Dad. So he's obviously has this loyalty to the business world, which is funny because we don't even know of the last real job he had, but he's very committed to it. So he, at that point, decides to occupy the booth and not leave because he doesn't want to represent these businessmen in a negative light. And the whole episode, they're just trying to get him out. And Crawford or Warner is trying so many different things to get his dad out. what did he tried to play a bunch of like Obama clips.
Yep.
And then finally enter Vanessa's character. And she is like, you know what? I'm going to take the reins like she always does. I know how to get him out. The Girl Scout cookies.
Which is how he actually got cast for the video game in the first place, because he was on the phone making a deal for these cookies.
And he sounded like a businessman.
Exactly.
And actually, that was also Camilla was the one who pointed that out, right? It wasn't Veronica. It was Camilla that said, hey, you know what? You'd be perfect for that. And of course, Crawford's like, oh my God, why did you just suggest that? And you know what?
You mean Warner?
Warner. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. My brain is, there's so many names floating around. so he's in there. They get him out. Camilla brings in the little Girl Scout and says, you know, these are the cookies you ordered. You got to come out and get them. And of course, they're the wrong ones. He gets really upset. He's allergic to coconut. And the little girl proceeds to kick him and into oblivion, which is how we get to the end where they're carrying him out unconscious. Is that what we're all thinking? I thought also because he was drinking.
I was going to say kicking him is an understatement. She beat the crap out of him.
She did.
Yeah,
She went ham on
That
him,
little girl
suitcase and all.
She was cute.
And they actually got great clips out of him because he starts screaming about the little girl and about the whole
Yeah, they were
scenario.
recording that while
Right.
he was in there.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
he was an
Hey,
angry
guys,
businessman.
Not
Yeah.
to interrupt you, but we do have our special guest on the
Oh,
line.
John's calling.
And this is 7:15?
I love how punctual he is.
I was about to... you can
Very
tell
well,
he's-
Aren't you doing a show live?
Yes, we are.
We are.
John, hello. I am your host for the show, Lauren, and we also have here
Jen,
and
I'm Kevin, just a random black guy that sits up here with them.
we
Yeah.
always need one. It's for
he's
equality.
the token black guy, John.
Equality, guys.
Oh, we don't believe in that, you know.
Oh, really?
I'm saying we don't believe in, we believe in all races are great, and there's no one's token, and
Right.
we've gotten in a lot of trouble, that's all I'm saying.
And the show is definitely pushing the boundaries with all those issues, which we all here think is funny, but we know that it stirs up a little gossip and controversy, yeah.
Well, we hope that it makes people watch, but I think ultimately we try to come from a positive angle, even if it seems like we're making fun.
Right.
Now, John, I was going to say a lot of the stereotypes and things that we see portrayed in there are actually reflections of society. So, do you guys often, should I say, do you conceive those ideas to write off of what you just see or what you experienced, or how do some of those ideas come to the paper?
I think some of the stories in general come out of either personal experience or things that we find funny. But in terms of like trying to notice things in society, I think we push buttons whenever we can, just because we think it's fun. But also, whenever you make some comment that I think is in turn considered, racially biased or something like that, we're generally pointing a finger at how ridiculous it is. We're not actually getting behind the thought of it.
Exactly. That's what we've said over and over again at the show, that the reason why it's on a sitcom is because it's funny to think that people seriously may think that or did think that or whatever, that clearly you're poking fun at the idea of that idea.
Yes, and it seems that the government may have been shut down by people who do believe these things. Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
I want to get political, too.
I mean,
make
that's
sure
fine. I think that's good. No, and that's actually a very good point. So we know now that you wear many hats with this show, with dads. And can you tell us what all of your different...
What the hats look like?
Yeah, what the hats look like.
I've been fortunate enough that I've been a writer on the show since the beginning here, but they actually put me on an episode where I became the new maid, so I got to act in an episode.
Right.
On screen, and then I got to do a voiceover in another episode. So now I've done that, and outside of that, just being a producer, Alec and Wellesley and Mike Scully have been very welcoming and letting me be part of all the processes of being on stage during the pre-shoots. And the thing is, we actually, we pre-shoot everything, but we actually shoot everything live in front of the audience as well. A lot of people, like shows like How I Met Your Mother, like those shows aren't shot in front of a live audience. They're shot before and then shown to an audience. But, we actually really enjoy the fact that we can bring a full show to an audience. And it really becomes this process of like almost practicing the day before and having it in the can so that when you go to shoot it the next day exactly how you want to do it. Right. And it's really been a learning experience for me because most of my career has been doing animation for Family Guy and the Cleveland show.
Right. And now, when you say animation, how were you involved in that? Still as a writer?
Yeah, I was a writer on those shows as well.
Okay.
So
but that's just a different
right.
energy, you're saying, because this is being filmed in front of a live studio audience. So as a writer, that must be more satisfying for you to get that immediate reaction, that live reaction, the laughter.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, when you make an episode of Family Guy, it takes a year before. So when people say, "Oh, when is that script you wrote going to air?" You're like, "I have no idea," because you literally write. I mean, it takes a year from when you conceive the concept until it gets on the air, and sometimes longer.
Wow.
Whereas presently we are rewriting an episode that I left the writers' room to come in here because we have to change it, and our shoot schedule doesn't move. So it's like you just have to get it ready in time. Whereas with Family Guy, we had 4 or 5 different chances along the way to improve an episode and change it over the course of that year. So this is we're thrown into the trenches for people like me who've never done live action before. It's very exciting.
Wow. That must be totally different. You make it sound so live action. I like that.
Well, it is. I mean, having a live audience there makes all the difference. It's amazing, just even when I having never performed in front of a live audience in that way. I used to do stand-up, but to go the day before when we were doing blocking and sort of taping for safety, to have that, the feeling, and then to go the next day and do it in front of, however many hundreds of people are there, it really is a completely different experience, and it's a rush. And
I'm sure.
yeah, and what we don't get from Family Guy is you get people saying, "Oh, I thought that bit was funny," or you look online and it got, people put it on YouTube and it's got 3 million hits. But you never get that experience of saying a joke and hearing a laugh, and that is the excitement of live.
Of course.
Of live tapings.
I would imagine you would want that. Plus, it's like, when you start out, like you said, you're doing stand-up. A lot of actors start out doing theater. That's like the thing that you are used to in the beginning. And TV is so different because you don't get that immediate reaction unless, of course, you're filming live. But we are dying to know some things about your character, Joshua. First of all, you're speaking of how fast these things turn around. So how fast did that happen that you was this all along, like, I'm going to write this guy and I see myself as this guy, or did they cast you, like, how fast did that happen?
No, because I know all the writers here, and we sort of have the Family Guy mentality, which is when we do a table read, we all just read the parts, and then we're going to go cast it afterwards. But so I read a part, of the Shua Joshua made part at the table, and then everybody laughed, and they said that was really funny. You should be it. And I said, it's funny. At the same time, I've been in the writers' room eating constantly. Maybe give it to someone else.
Awesome.
They said, no, we and we're going to also add that you have to take your shirt off. So it was
perfect.
Yeah, the fun for everybody in the room was to try to get me as close to naked on camera.
Oh my God!
With very little notice.
Well, you handled it well, and we all thought you looked great. I have something to say. Did you make up the Shua thing? Was that you personally from your brain?
I did not. I actually was out of the room when that happened, and I thought that was hysterical. So I wish I could tell you who to credit on that.
Well,
but I can tell
what
you
about
not
Shao and Roller B?
Shao. Roller B you can put towards me.
Oh
good.
Yeah.
All right.
We were hoping that was you.
Shao is very funny. Yeah, I mean it was one of these things that I was actually off on script writing the episode that just aired about the girlfriend that moves in. So I came back in and so I wasn't. I sort of came in blind, and I thought it was a really funny part.
Oh my gosh.
We'd broken the story as a group, but then I left. So when I came back, I was like, "Oh, that's actually a very funny part."
Oh, it was
one of my favorites.
It was hysterical. We loved the lingo, like the roller bee, the shao, the shwa or shua. I have to just throw this in here. I had an ex-boyfriend named Josh, and I called him not shua, but I called him shwa, like for real. And still to this day, I call him shwa. And when that came out, I was dying. I was like, I thought I was the only one who did that.
Feels like a very Friends thing to do too.
It feels like a very And
which
it all
was still my
I don't
favorite
know.
show.
Yeah, I mean
and Family Guy.
Family Guy we love too.
You can hate things. I don't mind.
No. Nothing that you do.
Nothing. Yeah. No, we're not just saying that. Honestly, John, we thought you were hysterical. All of us collectively agree, like one of our favorite characters.
By far.
We were quoting you. I mean, we have quoted you now 3 times tonight. I think.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a straight male, and I loved your shirtless row. I'm just saying.
Thank you. Well, I think I also offer the warmth of being a guy who's there to clean your clothes and take your clothes off of you, in a safe environment, and I think that's part of what people respond to.
Yeah.
Now, did you work out real quick before that to get yourself, fit, or you were like, whatever, I'll just,
Because your Twitter does.
Yeah, no, it was ridiculous. Like, past the age of 30, it takes about a month to lose a pound. So I just had to. I was like, yeah, I basically was always in some kind of running shorts between.
running around the lot.
Yeah, I was just it wasn't even a question of, you get to a point going like, push-ups aren't going to make a difference. I have to run a marathon.
We noticed that your Twitter did say that you're always a couple of months away from being in shape.
Exactly. It used to be. I used to say it was 2 weeks, and then now I would say it's a couple months.
Now you've upped it. That's a funny line. You should use that. Do you just walk around and say funny stuff all day long, and then pull out a notepad and just write it down to keep it, pull it out of your pocket for the next time you're writing? Because it sounds like you're just naturally a funny guy.
Oh, well, thank you. No, we're in the writer's room so much. You're hoping and desperately that funny things come into your head, and rarely do you keep them for yourselves as writers, because you're just trying to get it into the show and make the show as good as you can make it.
Right.
How did you come up with Funny Girl? I need to know that.
The character.
Do you know someone like that?
We all know someone like that.
I do. And he's a guy, and I went out with him twice and was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, it was. I think Alec actually came because in the original draft we went with someone that was a little bit milder, who had more of a cat lady, and the network I think was like, let's try to find something that we haven't seen before, and so Alec was like, why don't we just get like a female Robin Williams?
Yes.
And yeah, we were like that. Yeah, that is terrible. So
no, that was Mrs. Doubtfire.
It was kind of the thing of like everyone who watched was like, oh my God, that would be so annoying. I'm like, yeah, she was great.
She was great and so annoying, beyond annoying.
She was perfect, and I've always said that's so funny. And you guys did throw in, did she Robin Williams you? Didn't you? Wasn't that one of the lines?
Yes,
in the show?
yes.
I always get nervous when he's being interviewed, like on a late show, when it's Robin, because it's like you feel I'm uncomfortable watching him. Like
he has ADD.
It makes me so nervous. So this girl was like the perfect woman version of that, like that 100%. Every time she went to go say something, like, oh God, what's she gonna say?
Hashtag something.
Hashtag embarrassing. Yeah.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. Yeah, and it would be fun if in some way she could come back. At the end, we were afraid people would think that something bad happened to her because she was unconscious.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah,
just hypnotize her.
She's fine, everybody.
What about if her and Shua ended up getting together? I'm just saying. I'm giving you an idea, John, and you can take credit for it.
I just feel like somebody, maybe if there was a letter writing campaign, or I don't know what the next version of that is, but we have to get this going. Yeah, it's funny. I spent my entire first part of you couldn't really call it a career, but trying to break in on the acting side, and then you finally get someone saying, hey, we'd love to see you on TV. You're like, I can't do this.
Yeah. That's when you get the part when you're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, I tried to beg off, and they said, no, you're doing this. So, but I appreciate that they let me do it, and that people have found it funny. And my parents haven't found it funny, but that's...
Why is that?
They haven't gotten around to seeing it.
Oh,
really?
Well,
when they do, they'll be proud of their boy. That's for sure.
That's what TiVo's for, right?
Yeah. The funny thing is, like, my father, when I once did stand up, his comment to me, like, I was on the Late Late Show, and my first big gig, and I was wearing a suit, and he said, well, I don't want to even comment on the comedy, but if your suits don't fit you, you got to get them altered.
Uh-oh. You're like, thanks, Dad.
So that's where you get it from.
Yeah, I was like, just don't watch. Yeah.
Okay, so you must get some good like background
on
dads because it sounds like you got a funny relationship with your dad. So do you ever use something specific that has turned into an idea or an episode from the shows? Any of this ever happened to you?
Not specifically, but everybody, everyone's pitching in from their own dad experience, and it's kind of fun in the room because I think we've all found comedy through misery, and everybody loves their parents, but at the same time, you look and say, well, this is kind of funny because it's terrible. And in the pilot, for example, there's a framed picture of Eli's dad. And his dad gives him, he goes, here's a framed picture for your birthday, and that was something that had happened to Alec from his father, and the picture that they did was almost the exact same. So it was a very funny, like, real moment out of his life.
That's great. But speaking of pictures, this is totally random, John, but the picture of the mask in Eli's apartment,
Yes.
Why? I mean, I think it's hysterical, and it doesn't really.
Why is that there?
Yeah, why is it there?
Well, it's there because it was in Alex's apartment, and it was something that there's so many great artists over at Family Guy that they'll every 6 months or so they'll actually do an art show with a theme, and so that was sort of a pop culture themed thing where one of the artists drew the mask. Not the mask, but
the guy. Yeah, the guy.
Rocky Dennis. So yeah, and it, it was great. So Alec bought it and has had it on his wall, and then we just thought that was a very funny way to sort of bring it in together to say it looks like the dad.
And then that joke was funny, but I like that we still get to see it in the background. Like I just saw it on this episode, like there it is, and it just makes you chuckle.
And it's a piece of what Alex's actual house was.
It's so funny. I love that. And that's also what we enjoy here, and we assume that the other viewers at home feel the same way, that it feels like you guys are a bunch of friends. Like this is a big collaborative process, which we even know now just speaking with you, how many hats you wear. Like it makes watching either movies or TV shows that you feel like everyone's friends and having a good time, it makes it that much funnier to me because you can feel that vibe when you're watching it, and like we know how much you guys improv or we've heard, and it's just nice to watch those gems happen, and it feels natural and organic and funny, and we love it.
Well, it's good to hear that because we try to make it a very open dialogue among the writers and even with the actors as well. It's just they'll say, hey, what do you think of a line like this? And so we don't try to delineate and make it a hard and fast thing where people have certain positions and they shouldn't speak out or move. And I think the show obviously becomes better because people feel comfortable with each other.
Right. Yeah. Well, unless you're a woman, then you have to stay in your place. But otherwise, right.
Speaking of women,
the stage, the woman who runs the stage. We have a woman. We have a lot of women on the stage who basically say you need to move now, and I go sorry.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. And we have women writers who push us around. So
I like it.
I'm a big fan of Edna. I have to say, Edna last night, 2 nights ago, when was it? Tuesday.
Night.
What today? Today's Thursday. She was hysterical when she was relaying the story.
Oh yeah.
Or what Eli was telling David.
Yeah.
That was hysterical.
We love Edna over here. We like to see Edna.
Oh, Edna's
she's the best housekeeper ever.
Right?
Yeah.
The force of nature.
Oh my gosh, she's hysterical.
Everyone's had an Edna.
I have yet to have one, but
there's still time.
There is still time.
I think what you mean by that is a big bosomed woman who makes you laugh and is probably shorter than you.
That's
and may or may not be ethnic.
And may or may not be ethnic.
That's right.
But she's great, and every time she's on set, she gives us all big hugs, and it's just like she just makes everybody feel great, and she makes every scene she's in funnier. So we always try to figure out like, well, I mean, where can we put her legally, or not legally, but like
no pun intended, right?
Future stories. No, but we just like, what way could we get this? Can both families adopt her? Can she?
Yes.
I mean, like we want her in every scene. So
when she was making fun of the girlfriend, the funny girl, that was hysterical.
The plunger was great too.
Oh yeah, just her physical actions.
But did she hang herself at some point?
She did.
Yeah,
she was
choking herself.
Yeah.
That was great.
And we I mean. I don't know. I also think that we love how, or at least for me, it is watching you guys. I'm guessing, and you're just confirming that you kind of write her in because she's so funny. So it's like you're writing episodes and making the women like Veronica and Camilla, like their characters are coming up. They're a little more strong. And I like seeing that evolution. Like it's a little bit obvious as an audience member, like, oh man, yeah, she was super funny in that episode where they were trying to share her, Edna. And now, oh, look how much we're seeing her in this episode. She's becoming more prevalent. And we, obviously we love her and she's hysterical. So we like that move.
Yeah, I mean, one of the concerns of any show is to try to make the characters multidimensional, and also like on top of that, when you have what we have is basically 7 people, it's you have to service them. Sometimes some people will get more stage time than others, but we're trying to move it around enough so that that you do feel like you could spend an episode with one character's story.
Right.
And I mean, so far it's been great just to find out like places we can go. I mean, we've got an episode coming up this coming week, I believe, that is hysterical, and without ruining it, has to do with a proctological exam.
Oh, Oh, snap.
But I mean, all of us. So we were like, all right, well, we know the obvious place that these things go, and yet, to have a whole audience go nuts and to have all the writers laughing because the acting is so good. Like just the ensemble acting, they elevate what can be cheap humor into something else, and that's what we feel very fortunate about. Is we have this great cast, and they gelled immediately. I mean, I couldn't believe how welcoming they all were when I guest starred on the show. Actually, it was co-starred, but I like to say guest starred.
Well, guest star is, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was just you immediately felt like you were in a family, and that's it's like a good theater troupe.
Yeah, that's obvious. Honestly, John, when we watch, that's obvious.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
You see the chemistry.
Yeah, 100%. And we know these actors are seasoned actors, and even like Vanessa Lachey, for example, she's been in the hosting world forever, but she's such a natural, and like everybody on there is giving such great like we said, organic dimension performances. Like it's enjoyable to watch that and see, like Martin Mull. I mean, come on, he's like a legend. Like
these are characters you actually want to like hang out with.
And I love Giovanni Ribisi and Seth Green like so much more now than, I mean, I grew up watching them in films, and now I'm watching them together on TV. I'm like, I forgot how much I love these guys.
Yep.
Well,
yeah. I mean, they're just.
You guys picked a great cast.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah. No, we are huge fans of the show, and we are so happy that you called in. Thank you so much for your time. We know how busy you are over there rewriting what you're doing right now. If there's any little tidbits or anything that you want to give us before you go, feel free. We would also, John, love to have you come in if you ever have time or want to as well, live at the studio here, and then let us know where our viewers can like follow you. If you have anything coming up, any other projects that you do. I know you probably don't do stand-up anymore, but anything like that where our viewers can see you would be great. Let us know.
All right. At this point, I'm just trying to make this show my priority.
I'm sure.
But yeah, hopefully one day I'll do stand-up again. But I'm trying to think if there's anything exciting to tell you, because the proctology thing is great. We also have an interesting episode coming up where Camilla decides, which is Vanessa Lachey, decides she wants to get back into go back to her theater roots.
Oh.
So.
Oh, that could be good.
And
oh my gosh.
you realize that maybe Warner doesn't love her being available to the public. So it's there's some interesting results.
Ooh.
It's there's a lot of fun stuff that we're coming up with, and it's just it's putting our characters in different situations that you don't expect them.
Right.
And it's been great.
Oh man, well thank you so much for the teaser. That's amazing. And where can our viewers follow you on Twitter? What's your handle, John?
Oh, my handle is My Give Up.
My Give Up. Everybody follow John Viner. I'm saying that correct, right?
You are.
John Viner on Twitter.
Maybe the first person to say that.
Oh well, I can read phonetically, so.
I definitely thought it was Wiener.
Yeah.
Which almost sounds like
I probably should be, but.
Well, we'll pronounce it correctly for you here, John Viner. Thank you.
Actually pronounced McConaughey.
Oh, actually, it's John. What a funny guy. Thank you so much, John, for calling in, and good luck back in the writer's room. We can't wait to see what you guys come up with. We'll be watching.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
John. Bye. Oh my God, he's hysterical.
He's great.
John McConaughey. Love. I mean, see, these are the kind
That's
of
a
people
character name.
these are the kind of people you want to hang out with, because you're like,
I was gonna say that,
I
but
want him to be my friend.
Grab
I
a
totally
beer with
didn't
him,
want to
yeah.
creep him out and be like,
No, and I'm
can we
like,
be your
hey,
friend?
can we be your friend? Because it's like, he's just super cool and chill, but like every now and then he's got those funny one-liners, which is just like all the characters in the show.
Yeah.
It's just smart, funny. And by the way, he
Yes.
definitely like has a voice that you could imagine playing a character on Family Guy or any of
For
those.
sure. He has a very like commanding, deep voice.
Yeah.
We
And
like-
dry too, like where the one-liners come
Yeah.
out and you're like, oh, God,
Yeah.
that was genius.
Yes. Oh God. Love
McConaughey.
John Viner. Love him even more than after the Shua character. Hopefully Shua will come back.
That's what I wanted to ask him, but I don't know if he can even disclose that at
Yeah,
this time.
Well, he
But-
said we could write a petition, so
Okay, well we'll have
Yeah.
to like send a letter to the other
Him.
to him
Right.
basically asking for Shua. Everyone here at AfterBuzz, you guys let us know if
Please.
you agree.
Support the campaign.
Please do. And also let us know what you think of our show on iTunes. So when you go on iTunes, rate and comment and tell a friend, keep the conversation going. We are here talking about the show because we love the shows we're watching here. You guys are tuning in because you love, so let's keep talking about it. Call, rate, comment, and don't forget to buy yourself a copy of Zero Buddies. Or your friends, Serial Buddies. You can find that.
Gift it. It's almost time for gifts.
Seriously, it's almost Halloween, which means it's almost Thanksgiving, which means it's almost Christmas. So
yeah,
Which
the
means
stuff's
it's-
already in stores, so that
Exactly.
means you have to start gifting.
and I mean, we kind of touched on some of the date stuff with John. You know, we loved the woman that was playing the funny girl and her stand-up comedian type, always on.
Oh my God, I
thing.
wanted to kill her.
Dude,
I absolutely wanted to stab her in the eyes.
I went out with a guy that was like that, and I was just like, I can't. You got to turn it off, dude.
So he was just
Take a
always
breath.
doing jokes or
Like
playing
we'd be like
characters.
having
or-
dinner, and he'd be like, so, like tell a joke, and like, but bump.
I'm assuming he was an actor.
Like
he was a stand-up
slapstick.
comedian.
It's one thing to be funny, another thing to like put on funny.
The funny, like John, is great, where it's just it comes out naturally. But you know, anyway.
When you have to force funny, it's never a good
Well,
thing.
there are people like that. I've come encountered with them, and this was very realistic. And I like that they, you know, it became a battle between Eli and his dad. You know, he was like, I do like her, and his dad's like, dude, she's annoying. And just to prove his dad wrong, he's like, nope. So he challenged Eli, he to, you know, ask the funny girl to move in, and so he felt like he had to prove a point. Eli asked her to move in, and then finally breaks down like nobody can take it. Edna is making fun of her, attacking with the plunger. Everyone's like ready to like jump off the ledge, which he even mimicked that Eli was gonna do. David did that, and then he was like, ground or splat or whatever he said. That was pretty funny. And you know, and Eli ends up admitting, okay, Dad, you're right. Like he had to swallow his pride.
I like those moments they have, by the way, where it's like they're kind of being real with each other, having a sentimental moment.
Yep.
And it's like always at the end.
And it was nice to see his dad actually being correct and right on that. You know,
And not just
Giving him
being mean
advice.
to be
Yeah.
mean.
Giving him
Exactly.
advice, which is what, you know, you
good,
want
dads do.
good fatherly advice.
right in
Loved
his
it.
own way, but he did. And so he hypnotizes her. They carry her out with her clown.
Some
Get up.
outfit she's yeah.
Oh my
Clown.
God. And they are holding her, and then she makes a noise because they're going to hug.
And then this is how the episode comes full circle, because then we see Camilla and Warner carrying out Crawford, which we assume it's because he got beat up by the cookie girl, but I think it's also
The cookie girl.
because he was drinking.
Unless
And
they put something in those cookies.
or could have been those weed brownies.
Right.
And we end up seeing them all in the elevator. It was a nice little end of the episode. This to me was the funniest episode thus far.
I agree.
And we were so excited to talk to John. Everybody, please follow him on Twitter at MyGiveUp. We are going to wrap the show up for tonight because we got to talk to John, and we're hoping to bring you more guests in the upcoming episodes, so tune in. Thank you for watching. I am your host, Lauren Leonelli. You can follow me at Lauren Leonelli on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and my website.
And I'm Jenifer Golden. You can follow me at Jen the Jew on Twitter and Instagram and Vine. And you can find me at my website, jennifergolden.com, and on Facebook, Jennifer Golden.
Jeez, and you make fun of me for a long one.
I know,
gave
goodness
my whole
gracious.
laundry list just because
In case you forgot, it's
Kevin.
Jennifer Golden.
I might
right?
make up more just for next time.
Whatever.
I'm Kevin at Twitter, Facebook, at Hey Kevin John. Website, it's kevinjohn.com. See how simple that was? Just 3.
Yeah,
you know?
so simple. You're not confusing our viewers like some people over here.
I try.
Thanks, guys. We were excited to have John for you, and tune in next week for some more guests. We'll see you next week.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.